Hello, hello. Welcome to the Burnout Prevention Network. We're so happy to have you here. My name is Casey Pacheco, and I am one of the co founders of the Burnout Prevention Network. And I have my fellow partner here, Nayempu. Nayempu, welcome.
Hello, everyone.
We are doing this, aren't we?
It's happening.
Yes, ma'am. So today we were just talking a little bit about burnout. Nayempu, in your words, how would you describe burnout?
Oh, Casey, burnout is for me is a moral injury. I and there are many ways to express this moral injury where um, my moral values um, have been hurt
Mhm.
in the aspect of considering burnout, and over time it is draining.
How long have you been a nurse, Nampu?
Oh goodness, the years fly by. I've been a nurse now, counting my CNA years, will be
Mhm.
24 years.
Wow. Wow.
Yes, yes.
I'm just about half of you. I've been for 12 years. 12 years. And our profession is one where we burn out a lot, right?
We do
Yeah.
easily.
So I'm so grateful that God has brought us together so that we could start on this journey to help our fellow nurses and
Mhm.
healthcare workers to stop burnout. Um, this is going to be very conversational. So if anyone is on LinkedIn and they want to chime in and you want to share your story with burnout, um, it seems like after COVID, everybody is kind of suffering from burnout. So if you want to share your story with us or you want to join the network, feel free to type in the chat your story. We would love to hear it. Or if you're on YouTube, type in your story. We want to hear your story about burnout. Today, we're just gonna basically introduce ourselves, introduce the network, share a little bit of tips and tricks, not too overwhelming, and then tell you about where we're gonna go from here. That sounds right, Nayampu?
Sounds fabulous. Let's do it.
Okay. When I worked with a doctor, Nayampu, in New York, she gave me this quote. It was actually a scripture, and I thought it was amazing. And I'm going to share it here. It's going to take a bit of the screen. But the quote says, "It's useless to rise early and to go to bed late and work your worried fingers to the bone. Don't you know he enjoys giving rest to those he loves?" And I just thought, man, that's really powerful. Um, it actually, I've always read the thought before it and the thought after it, but I never read that one. And this is kind of I bring it up, Nayambu, because this is kind of the foundation of where we're going with this burnout prevention network. Hello, did they kick me off? Can you hear me?
I can still hear you.
Okay, okay.
Yes,
Sorry about that. I don't. Can you hear me? Everything's okay? Okay.
everything looks great.
Okay. Thank you. So we're gonna actually be doing something a little different, and it's called Reckless Faith. It's gonna be our travel vlog. It's a gentle and peaceful change to the way we do things. And we don't want to burn out while we're building this network. So this reckless faith is going to be on our YouTube, and you're going to travel with Nayampu and myself to see how we're actually going to change healthcare without burning out, without taking away, stealing time from our families, from our lives. So Nayampu, I feel like I'm talking so much, but I'm so excited about all the things that we have going on.
Absolutely. You're hitting the mark because we are the image. of nursing out there. And we have taken on this journey to say, no more burnout. We will make sure that we enjoy our career in nursing. We'll make sure that what we want for nurses to experience in the longevity of their career path, that we can exemplify that. And it's working for us each day. So why not show it to the world and say, this is exactly what we're doing? This was working for us, and it will work for you as well.
Yes, Nayampu. Nayampu, I just want our listeners to know that we really know what burnout is. Could you, and you're from Africa, and you've done so much. You've done missionary work. You've worked for the VA over here. You know what burnout feels like. Could you express or share some of the feelings of burnout?
Absolutely, Casey. So when we say we are burnout preventionists, we mean it, because we have walked the walk with burnout and we refuse to go further on this track. So, from my personal experience, when I started experiencing burnout, I had no clue what it was called. I just knew I was going through something. Something was happening to my system that was just not me anymore. So, having been a nurse for 10 years, I would say that my joy, my passion for this career path that I would say is my calling started to change, where I would go to work just on time to start work and leave, and I would just do my job and get out. And my colleagues would say something's changed about you, but at that time I would say I had no clue, as I mentioned before. So, going back in memory lane, I realized that I started burning out when my employer at the time did not value my um, what my moral standards were all about, and it was all over. Let me take you back. It was during the Ebola crisis. So I'm from Liberia, West Africa. So when the epidemic started in West Africa, it hit me to the core, especially watching that over CNN and all of these major news broadcasts, that nurses were dying in the forefront of this epidemic, and no one knew what to do. And I'm sitting in America in my comfort zone, and nurses are dying in my native land. Okay, so at that point, it really disturbed me spiritually. My spirit was really, um, um, I would say, corrupted at the time. So, and I wanted my employer to allow me to go out there and help out, because that was the one thing I wanted to give back. And my employer did not agree with me. And there's something in burnout studies over the years that have come to be proven, that when you have um, an inconsistency with your moral values, with that of your employer's moral values, and or whatever their principles are, if it interrupts yours, it, it draws you back within, and it starts to make you feel that you're not valuable in that system. You're just a number. That is exactly how I felt like. So over time, I finally took that trip and served my country, Liberia, and I came back after that period of time. And that is when I started realizing something is wrong, because at first I was just all about going to help, and that was my mindset. But then when I came back, I felt so drained after doing such a wonderful job, after going after my heart and my faith. When I came back, I was just not happy. Something was missing in my life. And I went on to do my DMP, and my research question was, what is burnout? What is compassion fatigue? So I was in between. That is when I realized that burnout is truly a moral injury. So on this quest. I've gone to do my DMP, I've written my article, and I've learned so much about burnout. I've learned to take care of myself spiritually, physically, emotionally. And that is the journey we're on, Casey and I, to show the world, to help other nurses that burnout is preventable, burnout is manageable, and we can actually do this together as a team. Nurses need to join us in this adventure to prevent burnout because it is terrible.
Yes, Nyampu, and she is a doctor. She made it. I am so proud of you. And I'm so grateful to have you as a partner on this journey because I think it exemplifies burning out. A lot of times we try to do things alone, and that causes burnout. And your story of helping and wanting to give, so many nurses can identify with that because we are like we are selfless. We want to give, we want to help people, but we forget that we can't serve others from an empty space. And what we're seeing now is all the after effects where you have nurses leaving the profession in drones, which causes more burnout for the nurses who stay. And on top of that, you have where all those heavy feelings of guilt when you're looking back because you couldn't stay, and it makes you feel kind of numb on the inside or apathetic on the inside, because the problem is so big. But Nayampu, I wanted to highlight, we have one of our viewers, they commented, and maybe we can get him on the program, John Krager. I don't know if I'm saying it correctly. Sorry if I am not pronouncing it correctly. But he said that he worked with school nurses for over 20 years to show how to manage life, technology. I'm thinking technology and life to avoid burnout. He loves our program. Woohoo! Thank you. Thank you. We're going to be on every Thursday, 11 a.m. So please share it. But thank you for sharing your comments. And your comments, actually, we would love to have you on the show. But it actually, it made me think about our upcoming guest next week. I think you will really love to be present for it. We're going to have Crystal. She's an accountability and a productivity coach. And she has helped me a lot personally because there are so many things, technology, like you said, John, to help your life stay organized, run smoothly. But a lot of times we don't use it. And we know even in the hospital system, things could be a little bit dated. So some facilities are still doing paper charting, some facilities are using outdated equipment. All of this contributes to burnout. So there's a lot of things that we want to talk about. We want to come from a very collaborative space to talk about how we can work together as nurse coaches, as researchers, as employers, corporate, wherever you're coming from, we all are experiencing this. So we are inviting everyone to join our network, to join our platform, and really push this message on burnout out there. Nayampu,
Yes,
am I right?
on the mark on that. So I like to applaud John for coming through and just telling us a little bit about what he does. Over 20 years, that's a lifetime, 20 years in nursing education. I applaud you. Thank you so much for bringing new generations of nursing professionals in the world. And just to know that we're not just talking about, we're not trying to prevent burnout just from those who are practicing currently. We're actually going back to from nursing school, as John mentioned, preventing, just giving them the tools to prevent burnout when they get in the workplaces. Because nursing school in itself is overwhelming, and it can be overwhelming for a lot of us, and just getting in there and finishing exams, you name it, clinical hours and all of that. So how can we equip nurses from the foundation of their schooling into the workplace, and then helping them progress and enjoy a meaningful work experience, meaningful career longevity. So thank you so much, John, for coming through. You really open up a new phase of our conversation that will be coming up in future recordings.
Absolutely. I agree with you, Nayampu. And it's just so wonderful to hear so many different um, types of people like technology and, IT are chiming in. People who are not nurses, they're trying to help our field. So we appreciate that. Nayampu, when I was getting ready this morning, I was thinking, how am I going to express this vision? Because the vision is so big and it's so beautiful. But how do I summarize this vision very small as far as the amazing places we're taking this network? And, you know, the thought came to me. So I wouldn't even say it's an original thought, but the thought came to me that a lot of burnout, the root of burnout, goes right back to trust. Um, if you are afraid and you're not sure how your bills are going to get paid, or how this patient's going to pull through, or how this assignment's going to get done, it's so easy to step out of trust and get into fear. But I'm another very religious person, but I am very deeply spiritual. And I was talking to God and I was thinking, well, God, how do I talk about burnout without attacking someone, making them feel like they're not trusting? And he said, it's not that they don't have trust. He said, he was like, when you say you worship me, it shouldn't be just a profession, but it should be a position. So it's not enough to just say I trust God, but it should be the way you position your life should show that you really trust God. And I say that because both of us, we left our jobs and we're taking a big trust and a big leap, not just to come here and talk about burnout, but for us, for both of us, to show you what a life of not burning out looks like.
Yes.
And that's a lot of trust because we're opening up ourselves
Mhm.
to you out there. And we're also opening up ourselves to the globe because Naimpo and I will be going to different countries. And we noticed that to solve the burnout problems, a lot of agencies are going to different countries, recruiting nurses,
Yes.
um, to help fill the gap. And we're not against it, but we just know from history the way we do things need to change. We need to become more sustainable. So we can't, we want to give and get at the same time. And we want to infuse that culture of giving and getting, um, to solve the burnout problems, not by creating more problems, by solving one person's solution. I don't know if I'm explaining it correctly, Nayampu, but am I coming across clearly?
You sure are, Casey, because it's sad to say that the statistics right now, I may be on point or a little off there. Over 100,000 nurses have walked out of the profession.
Mm,
And nursing, as we mentioned, from education to practice, it takes a toll on a person financially, um, spiritually. It takes a toll on us to get to that point of graduation, to get to that point of getting our first job. So, and that is not limited to nurses in the US. It is not limited to nurses in Japan. It is across the board. We take this is a sacrifice fully into it. And then to bring nurses from abroad here, you're actually taking nurses from that culture, from that population that they need to be serving, you're bringing them into other countries. Yes, the opportunity is great. Who wouldn't want to come to the US? I came to the US at the age of 16 from Liberia. By then I wasn't a nurse, but looking back, I see that nurses are needed everywhere. So when you're
Mhm.
bringing nurses across, to a new world, they should they should have that background. They should have a firm foundation to even begin with, so that in the new world, the challenges they will face, they'll be able to be steady. They'll have an anchor. That is our
Mhm.
point here, because we see how burnout is corrupting the field of nursing, of hundreds of thousands of nurses walking out. They're not just shifting over to another department, they are shifting out of healthcare altogether. And it breaks my heart. So, Casey, you got it. We need to make sure there's some regulation of, I mean, like a fortified regulation towards this shift of employment that's happening.
Yeah.
It's happening across the globe. So how
Yeah.
can we make sure that these nurses have what they need in this entire transition that they're experiencing?
Absolutely. And if you are a nurse who have migrated to help fill us, to help us with our burnout problems, to help us with our shortages, let us know your experience. Share with us. We would love to have you on the show. And I think, Nayampu, a lot of times burnout goes hand in hand with prevention. So, as much preventative actions we can take for ourselves, and that we can even infuse and teach the communities that we're a part of, it really helps us on the back end with the burnout. So that's a big thing that Nayimpu and I were really passionate about. We'll be talking about some of our strategies to, on a community level, to increase nursing presence in the community and to increase awareness of prevention, and prevention strategies. So as we tie up our show for today, woo, we made it through. We made it through. I'm going to do one holistic practice at the end of each show. And today, the holistic practice that we have is the holistic practice that we have is called box breathing. And box breathing, it's you hold it, you breathe in for 4 seconds, you hold it for 4 seconds, you breathe out for 4 seconds, and then you hold that for 4 seconds. Okay, and they actually use this breathing in the military, Navy SEALs use it. And what it does is before they go on any high performance exercise, they use it to kind of hack your nervous system because it allows your parasympathetic nervous system to break in. When you get into a flow of the 4-4-4-4, what it would look like is you pause, you breathe in, you pause, you breathe out, just in case the timing gets messed up. So, Nayempu, should we do a couple together?
Do it.
Okay, I'll
Do
talk you through the first one, and then
it.
I'll be silent and I'll just use my hands for the second
Okay.
one. Okay?
Mhm.
Okay. So, take a deep breath in for 1, 2, 3, 4. Now hold for 4, 3, 2, 1. Now breathe out. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now hold. 1, 2, 3, 4. Breathe in. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 1, 2, 3, 4. Breathe out. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 1, 2, 3, 4. Breathe in. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 1, 2, 3, 4. Breathe out. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now you can breathe easy. How do you feel?
Whew, awesome.
I
Awesome.
want to do it. I want to do it. So
One
I'm
person
just
can do it, we can do it, you know?
let's let's do it. Let's do it. So I'm just gonna do my hands. Join in with us. Okay? Okay. Breathe in. That feels awesome. I feel like I'm, when you have to jump and rub your belly and tap your head. That's how I feel trying to do it and run through it. But oh my
Actually, we need oxygen in our brain to, like adequate amount. So just stop breathing. Have you ever had a patient with the um the pulse ox on their finger and then it's not reading?
God.
Like maybe it's like 83%, and you try to
Hmm.
take a deep breath, you know,
Yes.
and just working them through that, you start to see 99. You're like, hey, you're doing much better. Like we've left from 80 to the high 90s.
Yes.
Perfect. Same thing, when your brain, my brain just feels so relaxed. It just like perfused with so much oxygen. It's fun. It's fabulous.
It is, and there's so much science behind it, Nayampu. We really need to be doing it more. So maybe let's do a challenge. Let's see how many days we can go from today to next week to see if we remember to do it during the week. And maybe our onlookers, they could join us in the challenge.
Yeah.
And if they remember to breathe, and tell us maybe some strategies. Some people use it like when they're brushing their teeth or
Mhm.
things that they're doing, they pair it and say, okay, I'm going to remember to breathe at this time. um, Maybe next week we may have some other strategies that we use to try to implement, because we could talk about burnout all day, we could talk about these strategies, but if you don't do it,
If you
it's
don't do
no
it,
use.
it don't sink in. You don't get the benefit. You know it, but you're not applying
Yeah.
it. So
Yeah. So that's why we're on here, to apply it, to apply it. Well, Nayampu, I think we're gonna wrap up. We're talking about nursing with ease and flow, and we are excited for all this wonderful stuff. Um, Nayampu and I, we're gonna have a travel vlog, Reckless Faith, like coming soon. And we thank you for joining our podcast today. We thank you for your participation. Thank you for your comments. Our last comment was from John. He said, it's amazing how we serve others, but not ignore our own needs. He's not a nurse, but committed to supporting nurses. Woohoo!
yeah,
Yes. Thank you, John.
thank you,
Very nice
Dina.
to have you.
We need more of you in the world, and we know we do. We do have more of you.
We do,
Awesome.
we do. Well, thank you, Nayempu, for joining me. I'll see you next week.
Yes, Casey. Next week, guys, join us here.
Sounds wonderful.